Look at that. I need to get a good pump. You know, when you get the good pump, you get the blood rushing to the muscles. It feels like coming, like having sex with a woman and coming. Can you imagine how I'm in heaven? Haha. Alright, listen. So I think I'm like one of the few people, the minority, that actually watched the Mr. Olympia, the 2018 Mr. Olympia last night, instead of Triple G versus Canelo. To be honest with you, I am boycotting boxing until I get the fight that I want, and that's Joshua versus Wilder. I'm hearing all different kinds of speculations about why that fight's not happening, but I don't care. Make the fight happen. The fans want it, and I'm boycotting boxing until that happens. So anyways, the 2018 Mr. Olympia, not what I was expecting. Down goes Frazier. Down goes Frazier. In this case, Phil Heath has been dethroned by Sean Flexatron Roden. This is something I did not see coming. I thought this year was going to be a repeat from last year, where it was going to come down to Phil and Big Ramy in the finals, but Big Ramy didn't even crack the top 5. Like, Big Ramy, I think, came in 6th, and I see why. Like, he's still like a giant on the stage compared to the rest of them, but the whole package just wasn't there. Like, Big Ramy's thighs are way too big for his calves, man. Like, I don't know if with his genetics, if he can make his calves catch up to his thighs, but it just looks weird. It's like a chicken almost, where the thighs are plump, but the lower leg is real small. It looks like the lower leg can snap. That was Big Ramy, man. So it was disappointing that he didn't make the top 5. But you know, Flexatron winning really shocked me, because for the past 7 or 8 years, like during Phil Heath's whole reign, Flexatron was always like, you know, he was always a runner-up. He was always either 3rd or 4th. And I think 2016, he actually came in 2nd. He was 2nd behind Phil. But when you see him and Phil together, like, you just know that even at Sean's best, he cannot beat Phil, because Phil is such a monster on stage, man. The guy's a freak of nature. Like, his muscles are like freaking 3D, you know what I mean? Like, he has the best arms in the business. And Flexatron always beats him in the ab section, because Phil's been known to have the bubble gut thing. To be honest with you, both these men pretty much had the same physiques back in 2016, but for some reason they still gave it to Phil with the bubble gut, and I thought that was a little controversial. But this year, I guess the judges decided to right that wrong and say, you know what, Flexatron deserves the win this year. So I was definitely shocked at that. My personal favorite was Rolly Winkler. That guy, like they said, is a cartoon character. The guy is just a monster, man. Like, it's just something that you draw in a comic book, and I was actually rooting for him. But I see, like, in the leg section, like, there wasn't the separation that Phil and Roden had, so I knew they were going to get him for that, man. But from the waist up, man, Winkler is a beast. That's his nickname, and I was actually rooting for him, but he did come in 3rd place, which is a big step from last year. I think last year, he barely cracked the top 10. So when they had the final pose down with Phil, Flexatron, who was the third guy? Oh, Rolly Winkler and William Bonac, I think his name is. When they had that final standoff, I wasn't even paying attention to William Bonac. I mean, the guy is a good bodybuilder, but he just was dwarfed compared to the other physiques on stage, so I wasn't even paying attention to him. I was really watching Phil and Rolly Winkler, but then as they kept saying Flexatron, I kept looking at Flexatron. I'm like, wait a minute, this is getting a little closer now, because Flexatron, you know, his midsection is on point. Only time where I think Phil beat him, it was the back double bicep. Like, nobody does a back double bicep like Phil Heath besides Kai Green. So certain poses, Phil is just unstoppable. But I think when it came to the pose down, I think Flexatron did have overall better poses than Phil Heath did. But in the arms area, yeah, Phil has that all day. Even in the back lat spread, I thought Phil definitely beat Flexatron, because yeah, I guess because he has a smaller frame, you really can't see the thickness in his back, so it just that belonged to Phil all day. But good thing that he hit his strongest poses, and he was right next to Phil, and I guess it was easier to make a comparison. So Flexatron is the winner in a very shocking competition. Like, Phil looked really hurt, but you know what? I'm not one of Phil Heath's haters. The guy's a champion. He's a great champion. He's a 7-time Mr. Olympia. You don't make 7-time Mr. Olympia on accident. I mean, the guy is a monster on stage. He deserves to be named with the best. You know, as far as Arnold, Ronnie, Jay Cutler, he deserves to be in the same sentence as those guys, because Only a handful of people have ever won 7 Mr. Olympias. Like Dorian Yates has never done it. Even Jay Cutler's never done it. So he's up there with Lee Haney, Ronnie Coleman, Arnold Schwarzenegger, Phil Heath. So if he comes back next year, Phil at his best can beat Sean Roden all day. Like that's been proven over and over again. Phil Heath was not at his best in this competition. You can tell he was out of breath. His conditioning wasn't really on point like it usually is. And this time the bubble gut really hurt him. You know what I mean? When you have the bubble gut and your conditioning is off and you're out of breath on stage, that could kind of hurt you. But I think if Phil brings his best package next year, I think he'll blow away the competition, and that includes Big Ramy unless he can get his calves up. So yeah, man, this is no diss to Phil Heath, man. Phil Heath is still a great champion. He took a L. You know what I mean? And the best champions are the one that bounce back from defeat. So I think Phil will be back. I think he'll be back with a vengeance. I don't think Sean Roden will repeat as champion again. I think it's going to be a Dexter Jackson situation where Dexter won in '08, but he's been a constant runner-up ever since. And I think that's what's going to happen to the Flexatron Roden. He'll always be in the top 5 or 3, but I don't think he'll ever beat Phil Heath again or win an Olympia again. And that's no diss to him, but to me, Sean Roden just doesn't have that. Oh man, he's got a great physique, but he just doesn't have that. I don't know, man. I like monster physiques. Like I like a Rolly Winkler. Like I like those superhero type physiques, man. And Sean Roden just doesn't have that. And not to mention, I think he's a very boring poser as well. Like as far as posing goes, I think Cedric McMillan was the best pose. Like the guy is charismatic on stage. He's he's fun to watch on stage. He's a great poser, but he doesn't have that package yet to be Olympia worthy yet. But overall, man, I thought it was a good competition. It was very shocking. This is probably one of the biggest upsets since my New York Football Giants took down the Goliath New England Patriots in '08. Yeah. So, all right, that's my take, y'all. I dug the competition. I think the right man definitely won. It was a shocker. What are you guys' thoughts on the Olympia? Do you think Phil Heath was robbed? Do you think he's one of the greatest champions ever? I mean, you can't deny that, though. The guy's a 7-time Olympia. So, yeah, I was a big Kai Green fan. Like, I'll be honest, for years, when Phil and Kai were going at it, I was rooting for Kai Green all day. Like, I'm inspired by a story. I wanted him to win, especially after watching Generation Iron, where Phil Heath was kind of made to look like an asshole, and Kai Green was like the underdog. I love a true underdog story, so I was rooting for Kai Green, but Kai could never beat Phil, man. And the proof is in the pudding. Phil is a 7-time champion. So you can't take that away from him. So guys, comment freely below. Thank you for watching. As always, this is Rashad G signing out. See you in the next video. And now I got to go get the good pump. Yes, it's almost there. It's closer. I know my Arnold is terrible. All right, y'all.